Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Brandon Rhoda. I'm the founder and owner of ShopSplat.com, and today I'm going to be going over how you can start playing guitar. So, let's hop right into it. So first thing, got a haircut. What do y'all think? I'm a fan of it. Alright, let me know. But, let's get started. Here we go. Man, so I've been playing guitar since I was like 8 years old. So what is that, like 8 years? Like, it's been a long time that I've been playing guitar, and I've just been, messing around with it. My dad's a professional guitar player, so I'm gonna go over, I think, 4 basic chords I'm gonna go over. And the reason why is because if you can learn these 4 basic chords, you can play most, songs around today, because most songs use the same chords over and over again, the same chord progressions. So I'm gonna go over real basic stuff that you if you're a complete beginner, and then I'll go over chords and whatnot. And yeah, let's get into it. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna give you some tips and some hacks that you can do at the end, to where you can learn more chords, but they're not really different chords. But just make sure you stay to the end. All right, let's get into it. All right, so let's go to the very beginning. This is your guitar. You got the body of the guitar here. You have the neck here. You have some tuning pegs up here, right? And we're going to be focusing mainly on the neck. So if you look on the neck, you have these different spaces, right? You have one space here, and they get smaller and smaller all the way down. These are called the frets, right? So these little metal pieces, they divide it up. So pretty much you have first fret, if you're going to do the first fret is here, second here, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, all the way down to, I don't know, 24 or something like that. But there's a lot. So basically we'll be working up with mainly the first 3 frets. Those are the 3 that we'll be dealing with, and let's go from there. So if we look at the guitar, there is 6 strings, right? So the very top one, the lowest string, the thickest one, that's going to be your E string, all right? From the one underneath that, that's going to be your A. The one underneath that, that's going to be your D. The one underneath that is going to be your G. The one after that's going to be your B. And the one after that is going to be another E, but it's going to be a high E. So the bottom one and the top one are the same, just in different octaves. So listen. Same note, just different octaves. All right, so I'm going to be mainly going over, and I'll be talking about finger placement. So I'll be telling you which string, which finger, and which fret, right? So that's all you have to focus on, those 3 things, and you should be good. But just in case you don't know what finger I'm talking about, I'll be saying pretty much the pinky finger, your ring finger, the middle finger, the pointer finger, and the thumb, right? And you don't really have to worry about the thumb, because the thumb is going to be behind the neck whenever you're playing. Alright, so the 4 chords I'm going to teach you are the G, the D, the E, and the C. Like that, so. Alright, here we go. So the easiest chord is definitely going to be this E. So when you do it, you're going to be using your middle finger, and you're going to be using your ring finger, right? So these are the 2 fingers you want to be using. If you're first starting off, you can use your pointer and you can use your middle finger, right? So you could use these 2, but you should get used to playing it with your ring and your middle finger, because it's going to be a lot easier to transition throughout chords. So let's go over it. When you do it, it's all going to be on the 2nd fret, right? So only worry about the 2nd fret right here. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to go to the 3rd string down, right? So if we have our E, A, D, the D string, right? That's what I'm talking about. You're going to take your D string, and you want to take your ring finger, and you're going to put it on the D string on the 2nd fret. So like that, it should make that sound, right? All you're going to do from there is you're going to take your middle finger, and you're going to put it on the A string, so 1 string above it, right? So we have our D string with the ring finger on it, and then we put our middle finger down, and now we have our E. So if you strum it, that's what it sounds like. Each string should sound like this. We have our first one, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. There, so if you can get all 6 of those strings sounding the way mine sound, you're in good shape. And that is the E chord. Right, the next one we're going to learn is going to be our D chord. So the D sounds like this. There you go. So the D, instead of using 2, it's going to use 3 fingers, right? And the 3 fingers you're going to use is going to be your pointer finger, right, you're going to use your middle finger, right? So we have our pointer, we have our middle, and it's going to be our ring finger. So we're going to use all three of these to play the D chord, right? So when we focus on the D, we're only going to be focusing on the bottom three strings, right? So the very bottom three should sound like this. That's the three strings that we're going to be focusing on, right? So that is our G, our B, and our E. Alright, so when we do it, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on our pointer finger first. And we're going to put our pointer finger on the second fret, right? So here's our second fret, right? Pointer finger goes on the second fret on your G string. So that is the third string from the bottom. So if we play the G string open, it should sound like this. If we put our finger down, our pointer finger on the second fret, it should sound like this. There we go, just like that. And that is the first step, all right? Then from there, you want to take your middle finger. Now your middle finger is going to go also on the second fret, but instead of going on the G string, you're going to put it on the very bottom string, so our high E, and you're going to put it on the second fret. So the middle finger goes on the second fret on the high E. So it should sound like this. Just like that. All right, so now our pointer finger on the G sounds like this. And our middle finger on the high E sounds like this. So right now, if we were to play it, the bottom three strings just like this should sound just like this. Alright, so now we're almost finished. Now what we have to do is we have to add in our ring finger, alright? And this one's going to be a little bit of a reach, but not much. So we've been playing around on the second fret. We're going to go to our first fret, right? So get back into the position that we had, right? So we had our pointer finger on the second fret on the G, our middle finger on the second fret on the high E. Now we're going to take our ring finger. It's going to go on the third fret, and it's going to go in the string that's in between the G and the high E, right? So that would be our B string. So from right here, you're going to take your middle finger, you're going to put it right in the middle. So the middle string, right, our B string will sound like this. When we put our finger down, it sounds like this. And now, you want to play all three together. And that's your D. So when we play it from the top string to the bottom string, this is what all the strings sound like. Here's the lowest one, and then we go down one, we go down one, we go down one, down one, down one, and that's what all the strings should sound like. So we're only messing with the three bottom strings, right? And that is the fingering for it. So you play it together, and that is your D. So the next two chords are going to be a little bit trickier, all right? The reason is the C, right, which is the one I will show you next, it's going to use three of the frets, right, but three fingers. And the G, which is the one I'll show you after the C, is going to use four fingers, but it's going to only use two of the frets. So let's get into the C first. So the C, you are going to use your ring finger, your middle finger, and your pointer finger, right? So the same three fingers that we use for our D, we are also going to use for our C, just like that. So this is what the C sounds like if we play it all the way down, and then I'll show you how to do it. So the C should sound like this. Just like that. Alright, so let's get into it. So we'll start with the pointer finger. We'll do that one first. So your pointer finger is going to go on the first fret, just like this, right? So all the way at the very top, the first little box, your pointer finger is going to go right there. Now it's going to go on the B string, so the second one from the bottom. So here's our B string open, and now here it is with our pointer finger on the first fret, just like that. All right, so we have our pointer finger on the first fret on the B string, just like that. All right, now we're gonna put our middle finger down, right? So our middle finger is gonna go on our, what string is that? The D string, right? And it's gonna go on the second fret. So here we have our pointer finger going on the B string of the first fret, right? And now we have our middle finger going on the D string of the second fret. So we go here, this is what it should sound like. So here's the D string open, and here's it with the finger down. There we go. Alright, now we have our third finger, right? So now we have our ring finger. Now our ring finger is going to go on the A string, so it is the second from the top. So we have our E string up top, the A string is going to be right underneath it, and it's going to go on the 3rd fret. So we have our ring finger going on the 3rd fret on the A string. So here's the A string open, and this is what it should sound like when you put your finger down. Just like that. Alright, so let's review. We have our pointer finger on the 1st fret on the B. We have our middle finger on the D string on the 2nd fret. So here's the 2nd fret, goes on the D string. And we have our ring finger on the 3rd fret on the A string here. And so all together it should sound like this. And at one string at a time, it sounds like this. There we go. So that is how you play your C chord. Alright, so now we're going to move on to our G chord. Alright, now the G chord is going to use all 4 of our fingers, right? So we have the pinky, the ring, the middle, and the pointer finger. It's going to use all 4 of them to play. So first, it sounds like this. One string at a time, it sounds like this. Just like that. So let's go over it. And this we're gonna start from the bottom and work our way up. So we first want to start with our pinky finger. Now our pinky finger is gonna go on the 3rd fret. So here's our 3rd fret, and it's gonna go on the highest string. So the very bottom string, the open E, and we're gonna take our pinky and put it on the 3rd fret, just like that. Alright, so after we have that, we want to take our ring finger and we're going to put it on the 3rd fret like the pinky, but we're going to put it on one string up, right? So our pinky is on the very bottom string, and our ring finger is going to go on one string higher than that, but also in the 3rd fret. So it should sound like this. So here's the pinky, and here is the ring finger. Just like that. Now, we want to take, and we're going to take our fingers, we're going to go all the way to the top of the strings now. And now we're going to take our pointer finger, right? So our pointer finger, not our middle finger, but our pointer, and it's going to go on the 2nd fret, right? So here's our 2nd fret, and it's going to go on the 2nd string up to the top. So when we look at it, here's our 1st string at the top, the 2nd string underneath, our pointer finger goes on the 2nd fret, just like that. All right, so let's review that because that's a lot. We have our pinky on the 3rd fret on the highest string, so the very bottom one. We have our ring finger on one string above that, so still on the 3rd fret, one string above it. We have our pointer finger, our 1st finger, goes on the 2nd fret, right? So we're not on the 3rd fret anymore, we're on the 2nd one, and it's going to go on the string that is 2nd from the lowest one, so the 2nd one from the top. Alright, so here's the top string, here's the one underneath that. It's going to go on there on the 2nd fret, so it should sound like this. Alright, so that's what it should sound like. Then from there, now you want to take your middle finger and you're going to put it on the 3rd fret of the lowest string. So the very top string right here, you're now going to put your finger down on the 3rd fret, and now it should sound like that. Alright, so we have our middle finger on the 3rd fret on the very top string. The string underneath that, we should have our pointer finger on the 2nd fret here. The other strings are left open, 1, 2, and then the very bottom 2, we have our ring finger on the 2nd fret, and then the one underneath that, or I apologize, our ring finger on the 3rd fret, and then the one underneath that, we have our pinky finger on the 3rd fret. Just like that. Alright, so when we put it all together, it should sound like this. And if you do one string at a time, it should sound like this. Just like that. And that is how you play the G chord. So there are the 4 chords that a lot of songs play using these 4 chords. So it might not be in that order. It might be in E, C, G, D. It could be G, D, E, C. Could be C, G, D, E. There's a whole bunch of different patterns, but they normally use those 4 chords. So if you can get those 4 chords down and you're able to switch from chord to chord, then you'll be set. So when you do it, take each chord and work on it. Make sure you don't want any buzzing sound, so it shouldn't sound like this, like oh, I can't even do it. Let me see. So you see how that buzzes, like. So what that means is my finger, let's say one of my fingers, we'll take my ring finger for example, instead of being on the string, it's actually pushing up on the string above it, or it's pulling down the string below it, and so instead of, it's not pressing it down, so we don't get a nice sound, instead we get like a muted buzzing sound that doesn't sound very good. So when you do it, make sure you get all your strings, play on your fingertips. You don't want to play flat like this, because that's not going to sound very good. So play on your fingertips, right? Make sure you're on each string, on each fret, and then you want to be playing clean. So each one should sound clean. And if it doesn't sound clean, then you want to fix it, right? And then play each string and make sure it sounds nice and clean. And then once you get good at that, go to the next chord, and then the next, and then the next, and then from there you'll be able to transition in between them. And then it's eventually just muscle memory, and you won't have to look, and then you can just play. Just like that. Now, don't get discouraged if you're having trouble with it. Guitar is not an easy instrument to play. If it was easy, then everyone would do it, right? So make sure you just practice that. You practice it, work at it, try your best to, just get everything sounding good. And eventually, once you practice enough, you'll be good. So, don't look at me and say, "Oh, I can do it." You should be able to do it, because I've been doing it since I was like 8 years old. So I'm doing it for a long time. When I first started, I was not that good, right? But it's just a cool thing to do. And like Shop Splat is, we're all about cool things. So let's go into now some of the ways you can change the chords around, but not really change them. You're just removing fingers or maybe adding a finger, and you can change the whole way the chord sounds, and then it can pretty much give you a different chord. And I'll demonstrate it right now. So the first thing I'm going to go over is adding a finger to your C chord. So let's get to the C chord. Sounds like this. What you're going to do, you're not using your pinky finger, right? So you can add your pinky finger to a string and give you a different sound. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our pinky finger right down here, and we are going to add it to the bottom chord, right? So the bottom string, my fault. You're going to take the bottom string, should sound like this, and we're going to add our pinky to it. And now it gives us that sound. So now, if we play the C with the pinky finger, it sounds like this. If we play it without, it sounds like this. So we can play back and forth just adding our pinky down. There we go. So that's one way you can just change the chord around. So if you're doing chord progressions, you're playing them, you could play something like that. You can add it in. Alright? So, that's how you can change the C around. Now let's look at the D. And the D is crazy because you can do so many different things with it. That sounded really bad, but you get the point. Alright, moving on. Here we go. Alright, so we're going to move on to our D chord, right? So here's our D chord right here. Alright, so what you can do is you can actually add, or you can remove fingers to give you a different sound to it. So let's start by removing our middle finger, right? So we take our middle finger, it's normally down on the bottom string. We're going to remove it, so instead of sounding like this, it's now going to sound like this. Alright, so that, as you can hear, it gives you a different sound. Alright, now you can do the same thing, but let's do it with our ring finger. So now you can take your ring finger, and instead of pressing it down, you can remove it. So we have. And so that kind of gives you a tone. Maybe it sounds a little more dark or mysterious. So it's depending on what kind of music you want to play, you can do something like that. I don't normally remove the first finger. I guess you can. That also sounds a little weird. I don't normally do that. And oftentimes I don't normally remove this finger either unless I'm playing something like dark or like creepy or something like that. What I do though, all right, is I take my pinky finger and you can place it on the bottom string. So you might be thinking, we already have our middle finger on the bottom string, right? Well, you're just gonna keep that there and add your pinky finger. So now it's like that. So now if we play our D chord, keep your middle finger on the string and just put your pinky down and just squeeze it real hard, and now it sounds like that. So now it gives you a different sound. So if we play it, there you go. And then you can add pretty much all of them together. So you can play, or you can do a different pattern. So you can play like, stuff like that. So you just kind of have to play around with it and see what works for you. But that's like another way you can just change the chord around a little bit. All right, another little hack you can do, and you can do this on any chord, you can start plucking strings individually, right? So instead of playing and strumming, let's say I pluck the first string and then strum, so I can go. Or I could pluck the bottom string. You know, or I could play the top, bottom strum, so stuff like that. Or you get real fancy and you can start like plucking the middle string and then the bottom string and then the one right above that, and you can play like stuff like that, and then you move to another chord and do the same thing. And then you get real fancy and start adding your fingers down, and then you play. So stuff like that. So those are just some ways you can change it up and just change the whole way that you play guitar. But definitely look up some songs that use these 4 chords, right? You can either type them in, or you could probably just type in any song and then just figure out which progression they're in. So listen to the song, see if you can play with it, and then you'll be able to pretty much play any song. I'm trying to think of some songs off the top of my head that work. I think like Grenade by Bruno Mars, like I'll catch a grenade for you, whatever that is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that works here. If I'm right, it's the G, the D, the E, and then the C. So it's like something like that, right? But that's but yeah, you just gotta play around with it. So there you go. That is the basics of guitar. That's how you play like the 4 main chords on guitar, or maybe not main chords, but 4 easy chords that you can play on guitar and get you playing some songs. Maybe impress like your family or friends and whatnot. But yeah, it's just a cool thing to do. And of course, speaking of cool things, if you want to go down, check out shopsplat.com down below. We just sell cool things. Check it out, see if you like something. It's how I'm able to make these videos for free and not put them on another platform, and how I can just keep putting out content for you guys. So I really appreciate it if you help support me and support the store and whatnot. But if not, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you continue playing guitar. And let me know if you want to see more videos like this. Alright, thank you, and I will see you in the next video.